Seahawks training camp wrapped up last week, and on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, we will take one last final look back on what was training camp for your Seattle Seahawks in 2024 with our list of winners and losers here on today's show. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. We are getting all set for the Seahawks matchup with the Tennessee Titans coming up later this week. Going to be a fun week ahead with joint practices going on and then the game to follow on Saturday. Between now and kickoff, we are in the midst of a sub-battle with our Titans channel to see who can pick up the most subscribers between our two shows. You can see we got an early lead in the sub-battle this week, 26 new subs, Titans Today with 23. If you want to prove why we have the best fans in the National Football League and really stick it to the Titans and win this sub-battle this week, subscribe now for daily coverage you won't find anywhere else, youtube.com/Seahawks TV to subscribe now for free. All right, stock up, stock down. In life, you can be one of two things. You're either a winner or a loser. And on today's show, we are going to put a bow on training camp with giving you our full list of the top winners and losers. Plenty of names to choose from. I hate that we had to leave some people out, but nonetheless, we give you what we can to work with. Let's start off with none other than Devon Witherspoon. As I've said previously, and I'll continue to reiterate, it is Devon Witherspoon's world, folks, and we are all living in it. Devon Witherspoon, I think, is Mike Macdonald's favorite player. He had an outstanding offseason, had a great training camp, and it's not just what he did on the football field, but also what he's done off the football field as well, being the vocal leader, if you will. And even though it's just his second season in the National Football League, this is somebody that has stepped into that role of being the voice of this defense. With the changing of the guard, not having Bobby Wagner or Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, Jordan Brooks and these guys, there was a void left of who would be the new voice of this defense. And Devon Witherspoon has answered that call, and it looks like he's probably going to be a captain when the season begins as well. Mike Macdonald had this to say recently on Witherspoon at training camp. He should think he's a great player. He is a great player, and he thinks he's a great player. But there's more there, you know. There's greatness in there. That's our job to pull it out of him. When receivers get into their top of their route, he's very sticky at the top. He doesn't really allow too much separation. And Spoon isn't the biggest, but he acts like he's the biggest when he's out there. So that's what's impressed me the most about him. There from Rayshawn Jenkins was the second quote on that front there. But I got to tell you, I've loved everything about Devon Witherspoon. He's been fantastic, and he's just getting started, folks. We saw him play as a Pro Bowler this past season. I think he's going to be one of the best players in the league this year and potentially be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. He is that good. Folks, I believe Devon Witherspoon, he is him. Are you with me? Devon Witherspoon, is he him? That's our pinned comment today. Weigh in. Y for yes, N for no. Is Devon Witherspoon him or not? Chime in. Tell me what you think. Let's go to the losers list, and there's Nick Harris. Yes, Nick Harris of the Cleveland Browns makes our losers list. Let us explain. Harris got traded on Sunday to the Cleveland Browns as he struggled throughout much training camp. It was not a good camp in Seattle for Nick Harris, a guy that the Seahawks were very optimistic about at one point that they brought in to compete with Olu for the starting center job. That didn't work out. Then he gets replaced. They bring in Connor Williams, who we're thrilled to have in Seattle, and I think is going to do a terrific job, be the starting center. And Nick Harris was the odd man out. So not only did he struggle in training camp, but he got replaced and he got moved all within a short period of time. That could not have gone any worse of a training camp for Nick Harris than the way things unfolded there. Luckily for him, though, the Cleveland Browns had a need at the center position. It's his former team, so at least he gets the chance to still prove himself a restart, if you will, there in Cleveland. Lee Val of 12th Man Rising kind of summed up how training camp went for Nick Harris. He said the following: he's been fairly awful in drills so far. In one embarrassing drill, Harris was absolutely run over by first-round draft pick Byron Murphy. Murphy is so good, of course, but Harris should be smart enough veteran to hold his own against a young player. Instead, Harris looked like a high school player. Ouch. Here's the trade. The Seahawks get a 6th-round pick in 2026, not 2025. They gave up a 7th-round pick in exchange to bring Harris in. And if you're the Seahawks, you upgraded with Connor Williams, you got a 6th-round pick out of it. I would say it worked out pretty well for a guy that showed you nothing in training camp there. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time, the place to go for last-minute tickets. The best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater productions, and more. Here's how it works. You choose the event you want to go to, whether it is a Seahawks preseason game, a Seattle Mariners game, whatever it may be. They got the prices listed. You choose your seat, see if you like that seat or not, get the visual, and then you're checking out. With Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Geno Smith makes our winners list. You knew Geno was going to make the list. Geno has been fantastic in training camp, even with the injury. Before and after the injury, he still looked really good, showed command of this offense, and it was the best training camp he's had in his 3 years as the Seahawks starting quarterback. And as we've alluded to a lot on this program, this Ryan Grubb offense that he's bringing over from Washington, pretty similar to what Smith ran at West Virginia. This plays to his strengths. Ryan Grubb's been a fan of his, and with the weapons he's getting to work with, an improved offensive line, there's no reason to think that we're not going to see the best version of Geno we've ever seen this upcoming season in 2024. He's even pressed defensive players that he faces every day, like Jarran Reed. Jarran Reed said this, Geno's look great. He's looked so focused this year. His timing is good. His reads are good. Everything he's doing right now is elite. So some high praise there from Jarran Reed on Geno Smith of what he's done here in training camp, and I'm excited to see what he can do this upcoming season here in 2024. We've named a few winners so far. We got some more winners to get to in a moment, but want to hear from you guys first. Who is a winner from Seahawks training camp? Give me a name that comes to mind, whether it's somebody we've talked about or haven't talked about. Weigh in and let us know. Back to the losers list. This is where we find P.J. Walker making the losers list for the Seahawks. And I'll say, this isn't like he did anything wrong necessarily in training camp. I know he didn't play well in the preseason game, but training camp was technically over before the preseason game. But think about this, right? Geno goes down, and Sam Howell and P.J. Walker are then elevated. It's their chance to shine. And we saw Sam Howell really step up and start to play better there towards the end of training camp. And basically between the way training camp finished and the way that preseason game went, with Sam Howell playing pretty good in the preseason, that shut the door on any possibility of P.J. Walker making this 53-man roster. Sam Howell is the QB2, end of discussion. That is over. He is the guy. P.J. Walker, he might stick around on the practice squad potentially, but that's going to be it for P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker had this to say on training camp. You have to look at every opportunity as an opportunity to extend your career in this league. It's not easy. It's not easy as all. So every opportunity you've got to take advantage of and just make the best of it. So if you're P.J. Walker at this point, you're hoping to extend your career in that opportunity. Even though he might not make the 53-man roster, there could be a possibility of him being on that practice squad, being elevated if there's an injury to Smith or Howell, and already knowing that offense. So hang in there, P.J. Walker. We might not be done with you just yet, but it seems like that his time, at least to make the 53-man roster, that time has come and gone. The winners list, we continue with the Rook, Byron Murphy II, with the neck tattoo saying chosen one. He has been the chosen one for the Seattle Seahawks here this offseason. And if you go back and take a ride on the hot tub time machine to a few months ago, throughout this offseason, whether it was rookie minicamp or OTAs, mandatory minicamp, we've read you the quotes from Mike Macdonald. He's been pretty hard on Byron Murphy. Day one, when he walked in, Mike Macdonald said, yeah, this guy's out of shape. He's not in football shape. He needs to take football more serious than that. And that continued a theme of Mike Macdonald really pushing Byron Murphy. And he started training camp a little slow. He didn't really start to put it together till the pads were on. And Mike Macdonald now giving him credit for what he's put together and noticing his actions there. It was tough love from Mike Macdonald. And I'll say this. I think it's a great sign that Mike Macdonald is saying these positive things because he's been in his corner the whole time. But now that he's actually saying this about Byron Murphy, then that tells you that Byron Murphy's made some significant progress at this point. Macdonald's saying the following. He's the guy we thought he was. Let's not crown him yet, but he's on his way. He's a force in there, and I think the guys see it. I'm pleased with his effort. The guy brings it every day. He's a rookie. There's things that we want to attack, but he's a savvy football player. He knows what he's doing out there. He's not lost. He plays fast, plays rugged, so I think the future is bright for Mr. Murphy. And you think about the challenges that Byron Murphy faced, right? A lot of hype as a first-round pick. We told you about what Mike Macdonald had said throughout the offseason and just getting acclimated. And a lot of attention was on Byron Murphy, right? And when you go up against the offense, they're going to want to put some pressure on Byron Murphy to perform. And he's trying to earn a starting job and all that. We know about everything that happened with the rumors that came up about him and a transgender mistress and all that. And give credit where credit's due to Byron Murphy for putting all that aside, focusing in, and stepping up. To me, it's a great story for Byron Murphy of the way that he's come together for this team at this point. Last on this losers list is Abraham Lucas, a guy that was nowhere to be found at training camp here in 2024. We were told a long time ago that the goal for him was to get back in time for training camp, to be at full strength and make an impact on this Seahawks offensive line and to be fully healthy from surgery and all that and to be in good shape to be the Seahawks starting right tackle. But throughout this offseason, yours truly, I have said I'm a bit skeptical that knee might be a chronic issue. And here we are, training camp's over. We're already a preseason game in. The countdown to kickoff is on. Clock is ticking here, folks. And there is no sign at all that Abe Lucas is going to be ready when the season begins, that his return is imminent. That's not good. I'm rooting on Abraham Lucas. I'm a big Abraham Lucas fan. I loved what he did his rookie campaign. But the panic meter is sky high right now as far as when he's exactly going to come back and how he's going to look and how he's going to catch up to speed with this offense. Macdonald's most recent update on Abraham Lucas, he said the following. It's tough with Abe. It's a process right now. The timetable, I can't tell you, but we're looking at it. We're trying to get there as fast as we can. I think it would be fair to say that we were hoping his recovery would go a little faster to this point, but we're in the process of bringing him back. We have a plan for him. Now, the plan for the Seahawks is to roll with George Fant for the time being, and he's more than capable. George Fant has been a decent tackle over the years, and you paid him for a reason, but we need to see Abraham Lucas out there. That's the primary guy you want at that right tackle spot. We'll see how things shake out. Who is a loser from Seahawks training camp? Give me a name that comes to mind. We've gone through our losers list. Still got some winners to get to. Name me a loser, whether it's somebody we talked about or somebody we haven't. Weigh in, let us know. All right, two more on the winners list. Let's go from one offensive tackle to another. Charles Cross, outstanding training camp for Charles Cross. As he enters his third year in the National Football League, he took a big jump this offseason. And I've referenced this a few times. I'll say it again. Remember what Albert Breer of the Sports Illustrated Monday Morning QB said a while back about him, that they think he can be an all-pro caliber left tackle, that he can live up to the billing of being that top 10 pick? That's what we saw from Abraham Lucas throughout much of training camp. And now it's time for him to meet those expectations to be the player that the Seahawks drafted. And he's impressing his teammates. Laken Tomlinson had this to say on Charles Cross recently. He's awesome, man. He's a specimen, a ton of talent. So excited for this kid, especially working the way we're working right now. I'm excited to see him go out there and put the pads on. And, you look at this offensive line with the question marks that are there. You're going to be feeling a lot better about this situation if Charles Cross is playing at that elite level. That's going to make everyone else better along the way. Last on our winners list, of course it is, Jake Bobo. Jake Bobo, you love him. He is one of the fan favorites, the former UDFA out of UCLA. Man, this to me for Jake Bobo, it wasn't just about getting him the catches and more part of this offense and all, but we saw him make an impact. That scrimmage, he was arguably the best player on the field on the offense in that scrimmage a couple of weeks ago. And now what we've seen from Jake Bobo, I've talked about this quite a bit on this program, is taking that next step up. Instead of just being a guy that lines up in 4 receiver sets, what if, God forbid, something happens to Tyler Lockett, JSN, or DK? We've seen enough from Jake Bobo to feel confident, hey, if an injury happens, he can step into that number 3 receiver role, and that this offense can continue to move like clockwork with Jake Bobo filling that spot if he needs to be. He's shown enough that he's capable of filling in those roles if necessary. He's impressed his teammates. Tyler Lockett had this to say on Jake Bobo. You got somebody like Bobo going into a second year that can make big-time plays whenever you call his name. That's exactly what we're talking about, folks. I think that alone just makes it tough for defenses to figure out what it is that you want to do. We bring our game to the table, and coaches figure out how to utilize everybody. You want to see more Jake Bobo? You know what to do. Spam more Bobo in the comments section for Jake Bobo. I'm excited about him. Can't wait, cannot wait. Spam more Bobo in the comments. Thanks for joining us here on Seahawks Today. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now. Got a great week ahead. We're going to be covering joint practices this week. Also got a watch party coming up for the second preseason game on Saturday night. We'll see you then. Subscribe now. Thanks for joining us.